Thank you so much for being here so patiently with us. Today is a very, very important day for me, and I'm so happy to see all my well-wishers here. So I'm honored to stand here before you and accept this prestigious task. Thank you, UN Women, Mrs. Lakshmi Puri and Dr. Rebecca Tavares, for selecting me as the UN Advocate for India. I look at the list of UN Women ambassadors and I only think of this as the greatest honor, a reminder I will bear as long as I continue to serve. As a part of this felicitation, I was requested to share my thoughts on the equality of women and what it means to be the UN Women Advocate. Bear with me and I will promise to keep this short. As my first reaction, I thought I should focus on issues pertaining to inequality, the lack of level playing field, how women struggle every day, how patriarchy, sometimes assisted by other women, keeps majority of us subjugated. It was making me feel bitter. Then, I paused to reflect. I realize we women do great disservice to ourselves and to all the men who support us by focusing on the grimness of the reality we are faced with. I know it is a hard reality. I know it is unfair where we find ourselves, to say the least. But this is not just about how unfair the world is or how hard our struggles are. This is also the time to look back and celebrate how far we have come. I am a proud and happy woman. Given a choice, I would want to be born as a woman again, that is, assuming there is something called rebirth. That means something. It means I am not angry and bitter. It means my life has thankfully not been all that bad. It means I feel respected by the men and women in my life and that they respect my aspirations and choices I make. I am conscious of the fact that I am a part of a privileged minority. I am also conscious that there are many women who struggle every day to be accepted. Some, or maybe most, struggle for basic human dignity. But my point is this. More than half a century ago, we did not believe that this was possible. A room full of women meeting and discussing how to be masters of our own destiny. A meeting as such, like this, where it would have been held then, we probably would have been considered revolutionaries or faced resistance. Some may even viewed as this gathering as a gathering of visionaries. Now we stand here without any fear of persecution. While we do respect and continue to encourage the men who support us, we are now in a position to speak for ourselves. We have come a long way indeed. Some of us might not see this to be much, but I urge you to celebrate. Small victories and quiet celebrations are very important in a long journey. They teach us not to lose heart. They help us to believe that perseverance and hard work can do and can take us far. While we focus on the task ahead, it is also important to cherish what we have achieved up till now. Remember, when the cause is just and fair, we will always find people stepping up to lend their support, sometimes from women and sometimes from men. So where do we stand? I see that the role and status of women in India has gone through many changes through the millennia, from a position of equal standing in ancient times to a decline in status in the medieval times and to a push for equality in the modern era. What strikes me odd is that while women have held high offices and exalted positions, such as office of the President of India, Prime Minister, governors, chief ministers, speakers of Lok Sabha, we have leading authors, entrepreneurs, CEOs, actresses, directors, etc., yet the resistance to listen to a woman continues. It is odd that despite what women have achieved, we are required to prove ourselves again and again, not just to prove ourselves capable to do a job, but capable of even being considered to do a job. I'm yet to make sense of that. While on that, I do want to mention the environment we find ourselves in. Rape, acid attacks, forced prostitution, dowry killings, and violent victimization. I understand that India is ranked as the worst G20 country to be born as a woman and one of the worst countries for women in the world. This is appalling and difficult to understand how we find ourselves here. How can we be one of the worst countries for a woman to live in and have women achievers in every possible field? How can women continue to be the backbone of our rural economy and yet not feel at home in our own country? So, what needs to be done? Create awareness, better opportunities, inclusive education, force a revolution, inculcate self-respect? Probably we need all of this and something more. If we believe that this organization and each one of us are here to make a difference, then let's chalk out a plan. Nothing noteworthy, I believe, can be achieved without a plan, focus, and indomitable spirit. Every action we take has to be measurable, and result-oriented, and capable of being achieved within a set timeline. I pledge to do my part, create awareness, support causes identified by the organization with my time and resources. I will do my best to be the woman I want to see and admire in our country. I will do my best to support and encourage women to push themselves to achieve all that they want to do. We have covered some distance. Today we stand by ourselves, believe in ourselves, and not to be afraid to voice out our views. Those simple acts have taken many years to come true. We often do not see that. Yes, it is a work in progress. Not all of us can claim to be there. For those mothers, sisters, and daughters who cannot, we will stand by you. Remember, we can be leaders of men, and when we are inspired by a man, we will not hesitate to follow them as well. I take inspiration from each one of you in this room and from the silent struggles of the generations that have gone before us. What we resolve to do now may not bear results today or even tomorrow, but we do nevertheless hope that it will create a better future, not just for us women, but also for our men as well. Let us not fail to look back and count our achievements so that we can continue to move forward. Let us not forget that many sacrifices were made so we could be here and that freedom does not come easy. This recognition is a way of saying thank you to everyone who believed in us. I leave you with this quote: "Never think there is anything impossible for the soul. It is the greatest hearsay to think so. If there is sin, this is the only sin, to say that you are weak and others are weak." Thank you so much for being here today.